I'm Tomella Curran. I'm a parapro at Vineland Middle School in District 70. I've been with the district for 23 years. I love my job, love my kids, love what I do.
And what is it that a parapro does?
A parapro helps in the classroom with our ESS students, which is our special education students. We assist the teachers. We help our students understand how to put research papers together, give them skills to look up words, to define words, a myriad of things, support of those students. The teachers really appreciate having the parapros in the classroom. Otherwise, that teacher would have to deal with the different personalities that come along with their disability. And so that's when a parapro steps in. And if a student has a breaking point, we know when to take that student out. We know when to give him a break. He has to feel safe. So our room, we have a resource room, and that's where they go to feel safe. I am the only parapro in the ESS. We have the autistic program is here, but it's separate. And they have 3 parapros, and each student that's in that program there has a one-on-one, one parapro. But I am the only one. So I cover anywhere from 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, depending on the need of each student in a classroom. It could be with reading skills. The student could have trouble with his reading. And it is mandatory by federal law that parapros be, if there's a reading program and our kids are in it, you're in there, or the SS teacher's in a class.
How many students would you say you're in contact with?
I'm in contact with all 28 students, 29 students that we have here. I give, and we're not supposed to, but I do. I give a lot of time. I'm here very early in the morning because just like a teacher, a parapro needs to prepare herself and for what lies ahead with our students because we do notes. We had started an online help program with the kids because most students, since we're going techie, with the technology piece of it, we have the homework help line. And so we expect our teachers to go and put up with what's going on that week or for that month. Some do it by the month, some do it by the week, some do it by the day, every day what their homework is and what have you. And but otherwise, we go ahead and we print notes or we write notes up. We do spelling words for them. It's a lot of work. So when you're you're the only parapro, and your teachers have tons of paperwork to do and all the testing that's involved, you're pretty much the one that's doing the work for 6th, 7th, and 8th, so 28 to 30 students you're working. Plus, we don't just work with our students. We help the others that struggle as well, the other students that are in the classroom. I believe that if we continue in this country, and it's not just our state, but education in general, and not just education, but everybody, continue on the path of big government and overspending and not financing education, how can they expect us to compete with other countries? As long as you have dirty politics, as long as you have big spending, as long as the rich get richer and don't account for themselves, and education is going to pay a big price. And you have districts that are not small like this, and our small districts really get cut the worst, and we pay the price. Vineland Middle out here, we have 80% free and reduced school lunches. We have the immigrant children here that come here. We have a great ELL teacher, Ms. White. We have been a high CSAP school for the last 3 years. We don't have much of a budget. We've had to face the cuts every year on teachers, on classifieds, in the classrooms. We have a librarian that writes grants for this school, or we wouldn't have what we have. Okay. These teachers go way and above the call of duty on nothing. We don't have anything. And yet our kids still succeed. So that says a lot for this little school and what they believe in. Because they don't have to teach here. They could go anywhere. The cuts, it really hurts our students is that a parapro and the teacher can't be everywhere. We are inclusive. And inclusive means our children, our students, are out in the classrooms, thus need to be serviced. If you don't, and they're supposed to have a certain amount of service hours. So you hurt them by, if you can't address those service needs except for the staff that you have, then that child is hurt because you're going to have to cut the service needs to that child. And the budget cuts are hurting us all over the place. They cut another 12 parapros this year. And every year we've taken a hit with parapros. And when you do that, and it's because of the budget cuts everywhere. I mean, it's not just us, it's everywhere. And so your students, whether it's ESS or what, is going to get hit because nobody's there to help them. I mean, you know, when you get larger class sizes like they want, your congressman stood up there and said, give me a good teacher and they can teach 60 kids. Really? You don't know nothing of what he speaks of. He really doesn't. Because when you have large class sizes, you can't meet their needs. Not 60 kids, that's a lot. In today's world and what they need to learn. It's terrible because then once you start cutting that, then you're going to see the education piece of it go down with the child itself. You know, we have a hard time getting our kids to even graduate and push on to college. And that number's growing. So the kids that have passed through here, some have been successful, some haven't. A lot of them drop out of school. Because they just, you know, if you don't have the resources available to them, they're frustrated. They don't get it. They're overwhelmed. And then, you know, the teachers get overwhelmed. Everybody gets overwhelmed. And the kid says, you know what? I'm dropping. They drop. And then, so their life goes nowhere. It is a vicious circle with that. And they have to understand that if you want education, then finance it. Not just your rich schools or the area you'll live in, but finance everybody so everybody has a shot at making it. And kids get overwhelmed, and it falls back to parents too, you know. But in an economy where parents work, they don't have time for the kids. They have to put a roof over their head, and a lot of them are single parents. Roof over their head and food on the table, and kids go by the wayside. And that's a terrible situation. And you see it all the time in education. I would like to see our representatives of Colorado step to the plate where education is concerned and really pay attention, step out of their box they live in and actually come see the schools, actually see what the teachers deal with every day. Because if it wasn't for a teacher, they wouldn't be where they're at and they wouldn't have the careers that they have. Our kids pay the price for it. You can cry and you can yell at a teacher and you can blame a teacher, but until that changes up there and they truly say, oh man, we need to do something about our education. Don't make new laws up. Actually fund the schools. Don't fire 2,000 teachers and say, oh, I'm going to call you back. I mean, what good does that do? What does that tell your students? You know? It just stresses them out and it's like, wow, where am I going from here? Because they too get stressed, and they do.